If you have debt but no savings, what should you do first? Should you attack that credit card bill, or should you build a safety net? This is a question that stumps so many people, and the answer isn't the same for everyone. Today, we're going to break down the real answer for your specific situation. So, why is this decision so incredibly tough? It feels like you're trapped between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, having savings is like wearing a financial life jacket. It protects you. It keeps your head above water when a surprise storm hits, like a car repair or a sudden job loss. Without it, you're just one unexpected bill away from disaster. A recent report showed that nearly 60% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency with their savings. Are you in that group? Think about it. What would you do if your car broke down tomorrow? On the other hand, debt is like a constant drain on your energy and your wallet. It's that little leak in your boat that, over time, can sink the whole ship. High-interest debt, especially from credit cards, is designed to keep you paying for years. The interest charges are relentless, and they eat away at your income, leaving you with less money for everything else. Life is just so unpredictable, isn't it? One minute, everything is fine, and the next, you're facing a crisis. That's why you can't just focus on one and ignore the other. You have to find a way to balance both. And that's what we're going to figure out right now. So what's the game plan? For most people, there's a smart sequence you can follow. This isn't about choosing one over the other forever. It's about what to do first. The general rule of thumb, the one that works for the majority, is to start by building a mini emergency fund. We're not talking about a huge pile of cash here. The goal is to get a small buffer in place as quickly as possible. Aim for about $500 to $1,500. Think of this as your life happens fund. It's not for a 6-month layoff. It's for when your tire blows out or your kid gets sick and you need to pay for medicine. Once you have that mini fund secured, what's next? This is where you switch gears. Now, you get aggressive with your debt. You take all the extra money you can find and throw it at your highest interest debt. This is what some call the debt avalanche method. You make the minimum payments on all your debts, but you pour every spare dollar into the one that's costing you the most in interest. Once that one is gone, you roll that payment into the next one, creating a snowball effect. After you've crushed that interest debt, what do? You don't just go back to spending, you return to your savings. This is when you build up your full emergency fund. The target here is 3 to 6 months' worth of essential living expenses. This larger fund is what will truly protect you from major life events, like losing your job. This balanced approach gives you a small safety net first, then frees up your cash flow by eliminating costly debt, and finally builds a fortress of financial security. But wait, what if your situation is different? What if the general rule doesn't feel right for you? Well, there are definitely times when you should prioritize your emergency fund even more. Let's talk about when saving should be your absolute top priority. First, if your income is unstable, are you a freelancer, a gig worker, or do you work on commission? If your paycheck varies wildly from month to month, a larger savings cushion is non-negotiable. You need a buffer to smooth out the highs and lows. Without it, a slow month could force you right back into debt just to pay your rent. Another big one is if you have dependents. Do you have kids, or are you caring for an elderly parent? When other people rely on you, the stakes are so much higher. An emergency doesn't just affect you, it affects your entire family. A well-stocked emergency fund is your first line of defense in protecting them. Similarly, If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're on a financial tightrope. Even a tiny, unexpected expense can send you tumbling. Building a savings fund, even a small one, gives you a little bit of breathing room. It breaks that stressful cycle where one small problem turns into a huge financial crisis. Finally, think about your health. Do you or a family member have chronic health issues? Do you have a high-deductible health insurance plan? Medical costs are one of the leading causes of bankruptcy. In the US alone, medical debt is a massive problem for millions of families. If you have high health risks, having a substantial emergency fund dedicated to medical costs can be a literal lifesaver. In these scenarios, the psychological and practical security of having cash on hand often outweighs the mathematical benefit of paying down debt a little faster. Now, let's flip the script. When does it make more sense to aggressively attack your debt, even before you have a full emergency fund? The number one reason is high-interest debt. Look at your credit card statements. What's the ape? If you see numbers above 15 or 20%, that debt is an emergency. It's a five-alarm fire. Paying 20% interest is like trying to fill a bucket with a giant hole in it. The interest is costing you a fortune and making it nearly impossible to get ahead. Paying off that debt is a guaranteed investment with a 20% return. You can't find that anywhere else. Another reason to prioritize debt is if your cash flow is getting crushed. Do you have so many different monthly payments, loans, student loans, personal loans, credit cards that you feel like you have no money left after paying bills? This is a huge problem. All those small payments add up and choke your budget. Aggressively paying off one or two of those debts can free up hundreds of dollars each month. That extra cash flow gives you options. It gives you the power to save more, invest, or just breathe a little easier. And of course, what if you've already started saving? If you've already managed to build up a small cushion, say 1 or 2 months of expenses, then it might be the perfect time to pivot and focus on your debt. You have a safety net in place. It might not be a full 6-month fund, but it's enough to handle a smaller crisis. With that buffer secured, you can now confidently turn your full attention to eliminating those high-interest debts without feeling completely exposed. It's about being strategic. Let's make this real with an example. Imagine 2 people, Sarah and Ben. Both have $3,000 in credit card debt and no savings. Sarah decides to pay off her debt first. She throws every extra dollar at her credit card. She's making great progress, but then her car's transmission fails. The repair bill is $2,000. What does she do? She has no savings. She has to put the repair on another credit card, and now she's even deeper in debt than when she started. She's trapped in the cycle. Now, let's look at Ben. He takes a different approach. He decides to first build a mini emergency fund of $1,000. It takes him a few months, but he does it. After that, he starts paying down his debt. A few months later, his car has the exact same problem. The bill is $2,000. But Ben has $1,000 in savings. He uses his savings and only has to put $1,000 of the repair on his credit card. He's still in debt, but he's not in a worse position than he was before. He used his buffer and broke the cycle of going deeper into debt when an emergency hits. That small savings account made all the difference. So what's the takeaway here? There is no single magic formula that fits everyone. Personal finance is just personal. It's not just about the math. It's about your life, your risks, and your peace of mind. The goal isn't to perfectly follow someone else's plan, but to create a smart sequence that works for you. Start with a small safety net. Then attack the biggest financial threat, and then build your fortress of savings. This approach balances today's risk with tomorrow's freedom. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps you figure out your next best step. If you found this useful, hit that like button and subscribe for more straight-talking finance tips. See you next time.